Yeah, there were like 3 or 4 times in the last little bit of the race that I was like, oh, it's over. There's no way. Like these guys are gone. But yeah, we hit icebreaker and everyone kind of stuck to the main line on the left side. And I think I just had a little bit more energy and a little bigger punch just for a few seconds to just get up and around them on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the race is ultimately won going into the final finishing shoot because it was super narrow and I knew that I needed to happen. And I just completely emptied it on icebreaker, which was just insane because it was like a Tour de France stage. Like there was just a roar, like so much noise. The crowds were huge. So yeah, it was for sure the most intense finish of my life. It was really exciting.
From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I am your host, Trevor.
I'm Sebastian.
I'm Mackenzie.
And this is Tristan.
And on this episode, we are talking about Michigan's favorite mountain bike race, the Iceman Cometh Challenge, from multiple perspectives. You heard the voices. We have perspectives from beginners, amateurs, pros, but most importantly, I'm sorry, everyone in the room, most importantly, we hear the perspective from the men's champ himself. Mr. Cole Paton will be on the episode in a little bit here. But first off, I just want to say, Sebastian, Mackenzie, Tristan, thank you for joining me on this Iceman recap episode. Yep, no one talked there, so that's
really awkward.
Really awkward. So I think there's a lot to get to here, and we've kind of debriefed on our own. But here's what I'm thinking, and you guys can let me know. Sometimes when I have an interview of importance, like a Cole Paton, I usually keep that towards the end. Now, I feel like the people in this room may get a bit, our conversation may go a little long. So I'm thinking we might kind of flip it around. And before we hear about Tristan's first time or Mackenzie's second Iceman or the pro race from Sebastian's perspective, I think we should hear from Cole Paton himself. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's fine. Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, let's hear from men's champ, Mr. Cole Paton. Cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking some time to talk about Iceman.
Of course.
And I just want to say, first off, like, a huge congrats on an amazing race and an amazing win. And kind of a congrats on a finish of a pretty cool season you put together. And I don't know, do you have time to talk a little bit about your season leading up to Iceman before we dive into that race specifically?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. This is actually my first podcast ever. So.
No way.
Yeah.
It won't be your last, I am sure of that, but I'm super glad to get you really early on then. So super, of course, again, congratulations on Iceman. But yeah, I want to look at like it seems like a kind of an obvious progression throughout this whole season of a different focus that you kind of put on. And I kind of want to use your words to start off here, because I remember when you finished, and I was there at the finish line, and then you were interviewed right away, and I think you were still out of breath a little bit, but you mentioned something about how like moving from chasing UCI points to kind of a different focus this year. So what was that focus?
Yeah. Yeah. So this was actually well, I did a couple World Cups early on in the season. In the past years, like in 2019, I was only racing UCI, only doing World Cups. And I didn't really realize that there's opportunity to race in other events such as Iceman and Epic Rides. And yeah, my girlfriend and I started our own privateer program this year, and it was a huge leap for us trying to put everything together. And Orange Seal came on as our big title sponsor, and they've really helped me. They've helped activate me and show me that there's so many more avenues that I can take in professional cycling, which I've been so thankful for. So I've dabbled in some gravel events, gotten my teeth kicked in, like just had some brutal rides. I did my first epic rides this year in Bentonville at the Oz Trails Off-Road, which was really fun. And then, this was my first Iceman too. And I think all year I was really stoked for Iceman because I just heard so many great things about it. But yeah, the season has taught me so much, and just that, the domestic scene is super healthy, and there's so much opportunity for cyclists like myself and in other disciplines to put together their own programs and make it work.
Yeah. And have success within those programs as well. I think you really came onto my radar after Chequamegon, taking the win there. And that's kind of a precursor to Iceman, I feel like. Midwest, similar course-ish kind of, and a lot of the same people line up on the line. So what was that, in August or September?
Yes, late September. That was a super fun event. And that was kind of the plan, was like Chequamegon, Iceman, they're similar. Super exciting energy at both events. I was really excited to have a good race there and just check it out for the first time.
Very cool. You mentioned Orange Seal, and I've seen some pictures and some other things of you rolling around in that Orange Seal van. This is kind of off the topic a little bit, but are you and Sevilla, like, are you guys like full-time van lifers, or is that mostly just transportation to and from places?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. We have an apartment in Durango, but I think we spend more time in the van than at our apartment, especially in the winter. So we left about a month ago. We left Durango, and I don't think we'll be back until March. So it's pretty fun. The van's awesome. We get to kind of go around wherever's warm and wherever we want to go ride. Especially nice having it at races.
Did you drive that to Michigan?
No, we actually flew to Michigan, but we drove it to Bentonville, and we were there for a while. But yeah, we're like a traveling circus. I tell everyone, like, it's a mess sometimes, but it's fun. And we're in it together, which makes things really fun.
That's very cool. And she was there at Iceman too. Took 5th place, I believe, right?
Yeah. She had an awesome ride. The women's field was just as stacked, if not more. I think more stacked than the men's field. And they came down to a massive group finish too. So that race, I wish I could have watched, but just as exciting for sure.
A lot of talent packed into one single van. I'm just saying. That's
she's more talented, but it's fun. It's nice to have a traveling partner, and she keeps me motivated.
So you mentioned like an excitement, an atmosphere of Iceman, and kind of like Chequamegon too, like same kind of feel. I did have a question about Iceman, and especially for you. For me, I'm from Michigan, and there's a big history of Iceman, and I think riders of a certain age, even pro racers of a certain age, kind of have I'm sure Iceman speaks about something to them, but for you, a younger person, does Iceman still have that thing, that hype that it used to, or maybe now, like after you've won it, maybe you're a little biased, but coming into it, were you super stoked to just participate in it in the first place?
Yeah, I was so excited. I think like the first time Iceman came on my radar was when Howard Grotz won it.
Okay.
I can't remember what year that was, but yeah, I just remember, I mean, I was like the biggest fanboy of Howard, and I moved to Durango, and he was at the time, you know, at the peak of his career, and it was really fun to be able to ride with him a bit. And when he won it, it was just, I was amazed. Like, he held this huge ice trophy, and it was this huge party and festival, and him and Payson were, you know, talking about it and just said it was the most exciting race of the year. And since then I've always wanted to do it, but I've just never been able to get out. It's later in the year and kind of hard to make it happen after you're chasing UCI races. So this was like the first year where I had the freedom to choose which events I wanted to go to. And I think from the get-go, Iceman was on the list. So I was really excited. The energy kind of built as the year progressed, you know, as we're finishing with Iceman. And yeah, I was just so stoked to make it happen.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder about, I'm more of a gravel guy, but just knowing a little bit about how cross-country mountain biking is kind of progressing into, I mean, the courses you guys ride are insane. And Iceman, which used to be a pretty typical mountain bike course back in the day, is now kind of an anomaly. And I just wonder, as mountain biking progresses and Iceman stays there, like what people from the outside view it as, or if it's always just going to still be the iconic thing that it's been for so long.
Yeah. I think, like, from my perspective, at least, like the races like Iceman and Schwamigan, they're this really cool like mix where different disciplines can come together. You can have, you know, Alexi's not a roadie anymore, but he was, you know, you have pro roadies, you have cyclocross racers, gravel racers, and mountain bikers, and everyone kind of has their strength, their weakness. But everyone's still super competitive, which makes it really fun. And then the bike choice plays into it. Like, I love all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like the one time that me, like a mountain biker, really gets to race with tactics. Because in most mountain bike, you know, pure mountain bike races, it's just like full gas from the gun. There's no like cat and mouse games. And so these events are super exciting because we actually get to play into the tactical part of the race. And I love it. I mean, it's so fun. It's so action packed. You're always having to think about moves and watch everyone. And it's pretty fun.
I read a little bit about some of those moves during the race. But can you kind of expound on that a little bit about, you know, what was happening during the race, that like what moves were made? How did you play it during the race? And tell us a little bit about the race itself.
Yeah. It was so fast from the gun.
So fast.
So like I was definitely undergeared. I think I would go with a little bigger chainring, but yeah, it just kind of shows how fast it was. Like I was spun out with a 36 tooth chainring. But yeah, I pre-rode the course, and I knew that I had to play, like there's not many technical sections, and that's where I would really have an advantage on some of the big contenders, especially the guys on gravel bikes. So I knew there were a few sections of single track, and I kind of wrote them down, took into account, and I wanted to be at the front, pushing the pace through each little single track part. I didn't necessarily throw in attacks, but just kind of turning screws on the front, making everyone work a little bit harder. And then also there's so many like sandy sections where it was really loose. So I actually went with a wider tire. I went with the 2.4 because I knew all these gravel guys were running like gravel tires. And so I figured I'd have more float over the sand and just save a little more energy in the first half of the race. And I could just punch it through all the sandy sections. So yeah, every one of those sections, I knew I wouldn't necessarily make a break, but I could make everyone work a little bit harder throughout time. I think it definitely helped.
Yeah, I was wondering with the tire choice. I mean, obviously you won, so it didn't like hurt you too much. But do you think with how fast it was that the right choice? I know there was a ton of sand out there, but there was also a ton of places to just let it rip. And a 2.4 seems like a pretty big tire for that
Yeah,
course.
it was wide. It was a gamble. I think that I maybe could have been faster on a 2.2. But I just didn't want to risk it. I knew like, okay, if I run the 2.4, I'll have to push just a little bit harder, but I'll just try to be more aero and use the drafts better. And then I can really float over the sandy parts and actually like try to make some people suffer. But yeah, I think going back, maybe I'd run a 2.2. I also didn't take into account that the course would have thousands of people that would ride it before us.
Oh yeah.
So some of the sandy parts were packed in a lot better than they were when I pre-rode. But yeah, I rode the Maxxis Aspens, and even the 2.4, it's so fast. It's such a low profile that I don't think it really made much of a difference as far as rolling resistance.
Were you concerned flying in that maybe you had to make a choice before you even got on course?
Not really, because I flew in and then I had Thursday and Friday to pre-ride. So yeah, I usually just kind of get there the first day, suss out the situation, and then the day before the race is when I really want to have my decisions dialed, so I'm not questioning all night before the race.
Oh, for sure. And no question about a gravel bike. I mean, you're a mountain biker. You're essentially a mountain bike dude. So you're not like Kerry Warner, like a cyclocross guy, or even Jeff Kabush that's gonna roll drop bars.
Yeah.
But did you just not even question that decision at all?
No, not at all. And those guys are incredible to me. I don't know how they ride those bikes so fast. Like I would have been dropped so quick on a gravel bike. So it's cool to see them and just see them rail. I came into the last kilometer with Kerry, and I thought for sure I would be able to pass him on the downhill, and he held just as much speed. It was incredible.
Oh my God.
So those guys have skill.
Yeah. So like it kind of came down to the last 5K, right? I mean, there were some punchy sections there. I know there were a couple moves made. I know Alexi made a move right at the end. I think there was a move before that, wasn't there too?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's a guy up the front for quite a while. Like Alexi and I were getting pretty nervous about it because he was still off the front with 5K to go. And we were going really fast at the time. No one really wanted to commit to pulling, but then Alexi finally did. And then I pulled too, but not as much as Alexi.
Yeah.
Alexi's just so strong. I think he was the strongest guy on the day for sure. And then as soon as we caught the guy off the front, I think we had about 3K to go or something. And Alexi put in a massive attack. And I tried to hang on, but I just couldn't. And I didn't really want to. But we just kind of lingered behind him for a bit. I could barely see him. And finally, Kerry came around with, I don't know, maybe a little more than a kilometer to go. And he attacked super hard because he didn't want to pull us up to Alexi. And I was able to just tuck in super tight and hang on for dear life. And yeah, there were like 3 or 4 times in the last little bit of the race that I was like, oh, it's over. There's no way. Like these guys are gone. But yeah, we hit icebreaker, and everyone kind of stuck to the main line on the left side. And I think I just had a little bit more energy and a little bigger punch just for a few seconds to just get up and around him on the outside. And I think the race is ultimately won going into the final finishing shoot because it was super narrow and there weren't any places to pass. I think if you could protect your inside, take the right line in the chute, the race is pretty much over. So I knew that I needed to happen, and I just completely emptied it on icebreaker, which was just insane because it was like a Tour de France stage. Like there was just a roar. Like so much noise. The crowds were huge. So yeah, it was for sure the most intense finish of my life. It was really exciting, but so tight. And those guys, I mean, it was anyone's race pretty much right into the end. So it was really fun.
Yeah. I was going to ask you specifically about your icebreaker experience, because there's, I mean, so many things going on. It's where you made your winning attack, but the people around you, the spectators, who, me included, we've done our race. We've been sitting there drinking all day and just waiting for you guys to come through. Couldn't wait. So it's just I'm sure from your perspective, it's an interesting atmosphere, or a special atmosphere to be, I don't know, so concerned about winning the race, but also have all that motivation too at the same time.
Yeah. It's the coolest race atmosphere I've ever been part of. It was really, really special. So
that's
yeah.
Great. That's great.
Yeah.
And then, you put in a couple good seconds though. You had a little bit of a gap towards the end. So super, super impressive. It's cool to hear from someone that hasn't. Oh, also, I don't think we've really touched on this, that this is your very first Iceman. So from never doing it before to coming out and winning it the first time is a pretty cool accomplishment as well.
I don't know. I think I got a little lucky, but yeah, it was really cool. It couldn't have gone any better. And I was just honored to be racing with those guys and rubbing elbows with some of the guys I've looked up to for so long. I mean, the top 10 were just stacked with pros, and even beyond that, we had a huge pro field. So
yeah,
it was really special to be part of it, and really exciting to be at the pointy end for sure.
Well, I feel like you at least have made a ton of Michigan fans last weekend, and including myself. So how long did this important stuff, how long did your ice trophy last?
Oh man, it lasted until it lasted a long time, all night. We took it around. We went to the filling station, had some pizza.
Heck yeah.
It was so fun. Then we went out to I can't remember, Sidetracks bar. Tons of people were there. I think until 11 p.m. things were starting to fall off of it. Like I lost the handles, and then it would drop and crack. And
that's funny.
But yeah, it was a blast. Just so cool to have that. And everywhere we went, it was just there was so much energy around it. Everyone knew what it was, and we were dancing with it.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a fun night. My arms were just so fatigued. I was like, this may be harder than the race to hold this thing.
That's amazing. And are you going to plan to be back? I mean, you have to come and try to get first again, right?
Oh, I don't know. I'll be back for sure, but I think there's going to be a lot of fast people again. So yeah, it'll be another race, but it's going to be on the calendar for sure. I don't think I can not come back. It was so fun.
Did people give you crap about winning on a nice man, or?
Oh yeah, everyone was like, if the weather was bad, it would have been a different story. It might have been true, but yeah, I was excited. The weather was nice. I'd be super excited if it was a true Iceman. I'm from Central Washington, and I grew up training in just gritty weather, snow, super cold temperatures. So I was kind of looking forward to hopefully having a really gnarly experience. But yeah, hopefully, I'm sure there will be in years to come.
Being in the woods all day, from riding it in the morning to being at Timber Ridge all day, I appreciated the nicer weather aspect to the whole thing. But I can also understand wanting to experience Iceman in its true fashion. But and Timber Ridge, I mean, what a fun, you said, coming up Icebreaker, that's a great time, but then just the whole, it's a party in the woods afterwards. And, it's
crazy. We came up on this hill. I don't know where it was. I don't know the names of the hills out there, but it was like in the middle of the race, maybe 20 miles in, and there's a band out there, like a big drum set, just shredding. It was awesome. But yeah, just stuff like that. Everyone out there is just having a party, and that's so cool to be part of it.
Yeah. Definitely for people like me, people that live in Michigan. I mean, Iceman is a special thing, and especially now, I mean, we haven't had it for 2 years, and to be back, a lot of us were so excited. And I think it's special because it's a local Michigan thing, but also we share it with, the whole country, and people like you that can come in from Colorado or wherever you are, and appreciate it and enjoy it, and appreciate how special it is to us, and then to also you. So I kind of I meant to ask you this before, but I did notice, I think it was post Iceman or before Iceman that you got out with Norte, the youth cycling group there in Traverse City, and I read somewhere that your privateer team, or your privateer system that you put together, one of the focuses that you wanted to have is on youth cycling. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that and how important that is as a younger cyclist, as someone that probably went through some of the same systems as a lot of these kids. How important is it for you to support youth cycling in the United States?
Yeah, it's what drives me entirely. It was super cool to be able to get out with Norte and the local high school team there too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I came from a town that wasn't very cycling oriented. I think I was the only kid in my high school that even owned a mountain bike at the time. I trained every day by myself, and so it was special. I had like a hometown hero that was a pro cyclist, just coincidentally, Steven Ettinger, and he would take the time to ride with me whenever he was in town. And that's what kind of fueled my fire. Like, oh, this is a thing. You can be a pro cyclist. That's crazy. So it's just like, if I can do that to even just one kid, that makes such a difference. And it's so cool to see these programs that some of these kids have, with NICA teams, with just development teams, having friends that also ride. That's so cool. It gives me goosebumps just talking about it. But I think it's super important. I think there's a lot more opportunity, but still it's challenging to be a pro cyclist. You have to be scrappy, and we're moving in the right direction. But I want to be able to be somewhat of a mentor to all this next generation coming up. I think that's really important. And when we can do it at events kind of all over the country, it just makes them that much sweeter. So makes it a lot more purposeful than just a bike race.
Yeah, no kidding. That's amazing. That's awesome. So I know it's off season, and you went out with a bang, but anything you're going to do fun for the off season, or anything to look forward to that we can follow you for? What's next for Cole Paton?
I am in Texas now, and I think we're going to start a road trip up to California. That's where Sevilla's parents live. So we're going to be hanging out. They live right on a bay there. So maybe we'll do some sailing, some off the bike stuff, some hiking.
Sounds awful.
And then, it'll be fun. And then I'm actually going to fly up and spend Thanksgiving with my family in Washington. And I'm actually an archery hunter when I'm not riding. So I have a hunt planned, a mule deer hunt up there. So I'll kind of be disconnected and out in the woods probably the whole time. But I'm excited.
If you didn't make any Michigan fans before for winning Iceman, you may have made a bunch of Michigan fans for just saying that you're a hunter.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of a touchy subject. Some people aren't big into hunting, but there needs to be more advocates for the good that it does. And I really enjoy it. And that's how I kind of grew up eating game meat. And yeah, I'm excited. It's just nice to disconnect and kind of take a change of pace and be out in the woods.
Yeah, that's funny. I hit up Rose Grant.
Yeah.
And she hasn't responded, but then I was looking on her Instagram story today and she's out hunting. Like
Yeah, she's already out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, good for her. Yeah, it's awesome. Rose is such a stud. She had an awesome ride, awesome season too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's super cool.
Colt, thank you, man, for your time. And I hope this isn't the last time we chat. I know it won't be the last time you'll be in Michigan. So I hope you come back, defend your title. Probably, I'm going to say you should do drop bars next year just to make it easier on you, easier on everyone else.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a mountain biker. But,
yeah, I saw a couple of you did like SBT gravel and, was there another? Oh, you did Rebecca's Private Idaho too. I saw.
Oh yeah. I got throttled at those. It was so brutal, man. Like, I did not think I was gonna make it to the finish line.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's fun. I mixed it up, and yeah, we'll see. Definitely Iceman and Schwamigan were way more fun for me. I don't quite have that long engine, the long range, 4+ hours, but yeah, it's amazing. Some of those guys and girls are just incredible at that distance.
For sure.
So,
well, anyways, have a relaxing off season, and I'm sure we'll all be following Cole Paton from now, and hoping to see you next year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love Michigan.
Congrats! So. You're an Iceman now. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So an amazing race from Cole, certainly. It was cool to hear about how it was his first time. That was his very first Iceman, and he was and not only did he, of course, enjoy it because he won the race, but I think he really appreciated how special it was to us as Michiganders. Guys, were you pretty excited to be back in the woods between Kalkaska and Traverse City after this couple-year hiatus? How did it feel to be back?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing feeling to be back at the Iceman. I mean, I got the chance to drop off Mackenzie and my dad for their waves, and I got to see everyone from our team taking off, so that was it's
a kind of a different perspective for someone riding the pro wave,
right?
It takes off at like 2:30.
Exactly. Yeah, you kind of see like everyone else taking off too. I was like, I saw many waves go off, got there at pretty much 9 a.m. when the race started. So,
and just for some background information, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you probably know what the Iceman Cometh Challenge is, but it's a point-to-point mountain bike race in Michigan in November, and there's multiple waves because there's multiple thousands of people that take part in it. And for the majority of us, myself, Mackenzie, Tristan here, we took off. What time did you take off, Tristan?
I was taking off at 10:45.
Yep, I took off at like 10:10. Mackenzie, when did you take off?
I was like 10:37.
Okay, so we're all pretty close then.
Yeah,
the same.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you guys were pretty close in waves, actually.
Yeah, I got to see Trevor take off, and then Mackenzie I got to see too, so that was exciting.
Yeah, I didn't see Mackenzie at the start.
No, I didn't.
But I saw Sebastian and saw Tristan there too. But yeah, so there's multiple. So from 9 o'clock to, I want to say like
12:30.
Really?
Is when the last wave goes off.
Goodness.
Yeah.
There's like 40 plus waves, and then the pros take off at 2:30 when everyone else has gone through the course. And then we're hanging out at the finish line, which is at Timber Ridge Park in the middle of the woods, a big party in the woods, which was just the best. But so, Sebastian, how many Icemans is this for you then? So this was your what number?
This is my 4th Iceman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many pro races have you done?
My 3rd pro race.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just dove right in.
Yeah. I did it once, not in the pro race. And, as you all experienced, you're behind a bunch of people and, you're just trying to get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And pro race is a little bit different.
You're just trying
dynamic.
to hang on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mackenzie, this was your 2nd Iceman?
Yeah, my first one was in 2019, so it was really nice to show up to such beautiful weather, and I didn't realize how much sand was out there because of how muddy it was initially the first time. So it was a totally different experience of the course, and that was it made for a really great day. It really did. It was so enjoyable.
Did you find a lot of traffic out there? I mean, there was a ton of people, of course, but was that tough for you to negotiate, or like when you got to the sand, were you able to pick your lines pretty well, or were there too many people? What'd you feel about that?
No, I felt fine in terms of that. It was definitely better than last time, once again, because last time there was no option to pass anybody because of how backed up the trail was. And so I actually felt like a lot of times I was able to ride on my own a little bit once I had gotten past people. And I did find that most people were pretty good about, staying in one side for a while and then announcing when they were going to be changing. So it wasn't terrible to navigate, although some of those sand pits were bad. People just brake like crazy before they get to them. And I'm like, oh, I just need to keep going. And I'm a lot smaller than a lot of the people I'm riding behind. So sometimes they're hard to see around. Yeah. And that can be a little... you just have to trust somebody you don't even know, which is terrifying.
How was the single track for you? I mean, it probably was not much different than when I rode that single track, but was it moving pretty well, or was it bogged down?
It would get bogged, and that's when I would like take a sip of water, bring my heart rate down, and relax and just sit, because there was like I would just get caught behind people. Yeah. And that's okay. That's fine. Yeah. It gave me, I probably wouldn't have taken a break otherwise. So it was,
I felt like the single track was slow, but it was moving at least. And it wasn't just.
Oh, yeah, it was moving. Yeah. It wasn't like complete stop. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't having to brake super hard, but I was just like rolling pretty much.
I kind of felt the same about the sand. A lot of people complained about the sand early on that rode the course before. And there were people around, but. It wasn't too hard to find a good line. Now, Tristan, this was your first Iceman.
First Iceman, yes.
And you, maybe a couple days before, you messaged me and you said, hey, I just listened to your interview with Cody about not riding a gravel bike. What kind of bike did you ride?
I rode a gravel bike.
A gravel bike. So then you asked me, am I making the wrong choice here?
I didn't really have any other options either, so I was more so trying to prepare mentally for what I was going to get.
Now, you didn't have another choice, but your gravel bike, in terms of gravel bikes, is...
Yeah, it's a gravel bike made for this terrain. I mean, I'm running mountain bike wheels, tires, pretty much the gear ratios, so... I mean, it was an adventure gravel bike for sure.
And did you ever feel underbiked? Yeah, underbiked?
Once again, I was overbiked. This bike has more to give than I have to give to it. So, yeah, no, I had plenty.
So, in terms of first time experience though, I'm curious. Yeah, so you've been on the podcast several times, mostly talking about the Sancho 200. This is a completely different style of race, but it's in the same area. Like, what did you think about the sand? What did you think about the single track? What did you think about the course in terms of not only bike choice, but just as probably your first official mountain bike race you've ever
first mountain bike event, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed the course. I thought it was an awesome mixture of sandy seasonal roads, 2-track, and then the little bit of single track that was sprinkled in. I thought there was going to be more single track, and honestly, that's where all the slowdowns occur, and that's what I was sort of nervous about. But realistically, I was free to do what I needed to do and wanted to do in terms of how I wanted to ride it, and it really suited me well, where I was able to hammer for 10 to 15 minutes, would get stuck behind some people for a minute or so, have to slow down, bring my heart rate back, and then get another 15-minute session out.
So the course itself, for those that have ridden it or those that have read up on it, there's quite a few notable segments that we go through. So there's the beginning section that now is through the airport, and then you kind of go through a little bit of 2-track and then some single track, but you get to the Vasa at the end. You have some other single track sections. You have some pretty famous climbs, like right towards the end, Icebreaker. And I'm curious for all of us, kind of your favorites or maybe some notable moments on the course that stick out in your memory.
The big one was the drums. Where was that at?
I think it's the Make It Stick. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think that's that climb, Make It Stick. It's a pretty loose climb, honestly. You can't really stand up too much on that one. You kind of have to sit back and get your cadence up rather than, kind of just hammer it like some of the other climbs.
It's pretty steep. I mean, there's some other climbs that weren't in there this year, but yeah, the Make It Stick. And I think there's also, people are like making bacon right there or something, or like there's a bunch of
just people drinking and hanging out, playing the drums. Like there was a whole band. I mean, there was multiple instruments. It wasn't just like one person. You know, there were multiple people.
I think are you in the Vasa at that point?
I want to say you are, but someone could probably correct us.
maybe I'll well, whatever.
Hey, let's fact check that later, and we'll just cut this out if we're wrong.
Yeah, we got to get like a Jamie, like on a Joe Rogan podcast
to do all the fact checks.
Yeah, I have someone like fact checking in the background.
Mackenzie, this being the second Iceman you've done, and you said like the sand was surprising because it was so muddy in 2019. But what were some segments that really stood out this time?
I actually really enjoyed the end this time. Last time I didn't really get a chance to because of everything that had happened before. And I love to climb, and it's just all the climbs in the last like little stretch. Yeah. And that's such a challenge, especially because you've been working so hard from the beginning. So I just really enjoyed like finding my limits there and just like feeling my legs, really a lot in those moments. Like I realize my legs more than ever in those moments, that they're like a part of my body, if that makes sense.
It makes so, man, I felt the exact same way.
I'm like, oh man, these things, they're working hard. So that's a really cool experience. And then the closer you get to the end, the more people you see. And it's just like no other event where there's like actually spectators and you get a chance to feel like people want to watch what you're doing and are excited for you. And that's a really awesome part of the event. It's worth showing up for, definitely.
Man, there's nothing that I want to do more than just rip up Icebreaker at the end. And there's like a couple little rollers right before it, and I was cooked. Like I was like, God damn it, I can't like I can't rip up it like I want to.
Yeah, you're kind of like, is Icebreaker this one, or is it? You're like, oh, I think it's coming up, and then you're like, oh, that wasn't it, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's this one. It's like a solid 3 or 4
Yep.
like pretty punchy rollers that you have to hit, and then you're like, okay, now you're gonna take the steep
And the
one.
photos don't do it justice, or like video doesn't do it justice. It looks like this like little roller, and all I was thinking was, oh my gosh, the crowd is getting loud. I can hear them, like the speaker going, and I'm going all over all these rollers, and one gets a little steeper than the other, and I'm like, well, that must be it. And I come around and I see one more, and it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna give it everything I got, and that's it. And as I got to the top of it, I'm like, good. Hopefully there's no more hills, because I'm gonna look like a fool in front of everybody, and it'll be the one time I have to get off the bike all day. And luckily that was it.
I think that was the only time I was a little disappointed in the traffic, because there was a lot of people on like every single side of that climb, and I did not feel like I could get a good rhythm rolling up Icebreaker, but it is what it is. Last time I've done Iceman was in 2018, and it was like I don't remember if we went up Icebreaker like really early, but I do specifically remember getting that close to Timber Ridge, and then you saw all the people and everyone was cheering for you, and then they dumped you back into the woods for like another mile and a half, and it was like, what? Like you thought you were almost done, and then you turn and you weren't almost done, and you still had all this more to go. So it was like, I think still in the back of my mind, even after we climbed Icebreaker, I was like, are we going to be done? Am I going to go through this weird chute and then they're going to stick me back into the woods? I wasn't sure, but luckily, like you went up for this year, you went up Icebreaker and then you were done. Like that's all you had.
Yeah.
But I think for myself, I knew that everyone was saying once you hit the Vasa, it was fast, and not like every part was fast. I mean, like even for, from the pro wave to wave 36, like it was fast, and everyone was going like super fast the whole time. But I knew just my style of riding, when some of those little punchers were okay. Single track was fine. It was kind of slowed down. But once we got to anything that resembled a gravel road, I was like head down, power through, and just flew. And luckily I had 2 or 3 dudes that were with me, and we rotated like we were doing a road ride the whole time. And it was awesome. It was really fun to get to that point of and I think I knew I had a time in my head that I wanted to break. And when I thought we were about halfway, I was like, we're going to have to do a negative split here and do the second half faster. But that course allowed you to, because Vasa was so freaking fast.
Yeah. Once you crossed Williamsburg Road, it was pretty much like, oh, I can shift up to my higher gears here. It's almost to the point where you're, gearing out, because you're pretty much going, 17, 18 the whole time without having the pedal that hard. It's almost like you've crested the, hill, and you're kind of coming down on the Vasa into Traverse City, and then you have a few punchy climbs at the end. But there's not, like, between Williamsburg and Icebreaker, it's pretty flat and kind of nice. It's kind of twisty and through the woods, like really beautiful, pristine 2-track.
Man, there's these moments.
The colors were on too.
Oh,
This is what I wanted to say. Yeah, like there were these moments in the single track where it was, it had to be. I don't know if the colors are super late this year, but they were popping perfectly.
I think they were late, because that was like we had our first frost that week, and it just snowed a few days before, actually, up there. And I was very concerned that it was going to be another Mudman.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's exactly what happened in 2019, is it snowed literally the night before. And the day before, we pre-rode the course, and it was completely fine, super solid. And then the next morning, it was just complete mudfest. So it was good that it kind of that happened before and it dried out.
I don't think I saw a single wet section in the whole thing.
No.
I do remember taking a mental note though on some of the single track, because it was like all the leaves, like there was like yellow maple leaves that had fallen, so the whole floor of the forest was just yellow maple leaves, except for the single track spot was just like weaving through the forest. It was just like, it was so like, I wanted to stop and take a picture, you know, kind of thing. It was just beautiful. This is only my second Iceman, but I was up there for 2019. I rode 2018, and there's such like a hype that kind of builds, and there's a lot that kind of goes into Iceman, and everyone's talking about Iceman, and people get pissed off about waves, and there's so much like emotion that goes into the weekend. But I will say that getting up there and experiencing it again, it's like I almost forgot how amazing it is. And I don't know how I mean, Tristan, this was your first one, so you were coming into it cold, but Sebastian, Mackenzie, I don't know if you felt the same way of like, you know, you've experienced it before, but then coming back, you're like, oh yeah, this is the best.
Definitely. I think for sure it ends up being like a whole weekend, you know, even traveling up and the whole thing. The closer you get, the more excited you get. And then you start to get kind of like nervous and weird feelings. And then you have the expo like Friday night. So it gives you something to do before. And you have all this planning and prepping. And then it's like the whole day event on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a lot of people stay up on Sunday and make of it what they want. And I think it just ends up being such a memorable weekend. And then when you have perfect weather, it was just such a good weekend to be partying in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, what more could you ask for?
The weather helped for sure.
Yeah.
Tristan, I think, you know, people talk a lot about Iceman, and of course you had to experience it for yourself. But and I think after I was drinking like multiple beers that day, how many times did I ask you, are you going to come back?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer because you asked it a few times, but definitely we'll be back. I'm excited for it. That even though it's not, you know, necessarily the type of racing I prefer, it is definitely in an environment that I want to be a part of. That was exhilarating, just pushing through the woods for 2 hours as hard as you possibly can, and then going and hanging out with friends and yelling at the pros as they go by, or
Sebastian
or
as he comes through. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that was just quite the experience.
I mean, just like a side note, like my brother who did Barry-Roubaix with me, and we did a Belgian waffle ride. I've said, you know, maybe you should come up and bring the family, come up and do Iceman. And he's always been like, well, I'm not sure about traveling that much for a 30-mile race, which I understand. Like on paper, it doesn't look like an epic adventure, but I don't know. The whole weekend is just it's just pretty great that I feel like it's worth, like anyone that's wondering whether or not they should block out the entire weekend and go up there, whether or not they're going to, whether it's from Michigan or going to travel a bunch. Like I think it's worth it.
Yeah. To quote many, and specifically Jenny Acker, it's the Catalina wine mixer of cycling events.
I mean, it truly is.
It's just like, you know, there's nothing else.
Thank you for
like
editing that too. Like,
because it really is. I mean, it feels like Christmas. You know, it's like you have the expo, you have a bunch of like cool bikes sitting out, you know, you're like, wow, you kind of like gazing around, and you're like picking up your packet and getting mentally prepared. You know, there's beer, there's different people to talk to, and then the next day it's like, you know, all day it's just racing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's there's a show, you know, it's not just like you go to an event and you kind of see people at the end and you hang out at the end, but there's not like a shoot, and there's not the icebreaker, you know. It's like there's like certain attributes of that race that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, that I've, experienced.
Also, having gone to like pro mountain bike events as a spectator, it is probably the most comparable into what like the true pros experience. Like we went to the UCI World Cups in 2019.
Yeah.
And that is like the most similar I've ever been to feeling like a real pro, even just being in like a normal wave, because you get a cool expo, which is always at a pro event. And then you get all the people who are there to watch and cheer and all the noise and excitement and food and drinks and everything else that, you just don't get at any other event, especially a lot of the like local events, which are great and have their own charm. But this is like a true event where you feel like a racer, like you feel excited to be racing.
It's like finishing, going through the chute or the finish line at the Boston Marathon. That's kind of how I feel like finishing Iceman is. I mean, you're finishing down through the same chute, the same finish line as the pros do, and it feels super special. And even like talking to different pros about it, they think that, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I mean, they think it's one of the better or the best race environments that they've experienced as well. It is something else. And then especially for us that are, we're from Michigan, it's like going to a family reunion, because it's like you haven't seen, you see some people at some races throughout the whole year or whatever, and maybe a bunch of people are kind of spread out around the state, but then like everyone kind of descends upon Timber Ridge at the end, and you just see everyone that you usually only see on Strava all year, and then you get to talk to them. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Sebastian, I wonder, so you've done the pro race for 3 years. Do you feel like you're missing part of that experience for doing because you're a part of the pro race, because you have to wait all the way till 2:30 and then you finish? Like, I mean, there's a lot of drinking that you had to make up towards the end there.
No, you're right. I definitely had to make up on the drinking afterwards. But there's just something about lining up with, the pro racers, guys who I look up to, that I'm like, wow, like I hope and wish that I can be as fast as you one day. Whether it's, there's just so many people that I admire that line up there, and when you're at the start line, which I know none of you were there, but they announce like the top people.
The call-ups,
the call-ups, right? Yeah, so that's kind of a cool experience in itself, because you hear like, oh, okay, there's Alexi, there's Jordan Wakely, and other pros, and you're just kind of sitting out in the back. I'm like chit-chatting with the guy next to me, like, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, I shouldn't be here. Oh, me either. But you're there, and you're super excited, and it kind of works out from a logistics standpoint too, because Mackenzie and my dad do the race as well, so I get to go and drop them off, see everyone else on the team. I got to take a lot of great photos, which was really nice. Something what I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't go off at 2:30. So, I mean, it's kind of a disappointment at the same time, because 2018 I did way better than I did in this year. It is what it is. You train for different events. You don't have as much time to train, but just being able to start there and kind of ride at the pace that you really think you can ride at, and max out the whole time. You're not being held up by other people, and I don't feel like I'm holding any of the pros up, because I usually try to line up towards the back. But it's just a really awesome experience, and I say I'm not going to do it every year I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. But you end up just being like, wow, that was awesome. I'm going to do it again after you do it.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned like you train for different kind of races, or you have a different, maybe a different type of fitness. I mean, Tristan, you have done a ton of like ultra endurance races and kind of train ultra endurance wise. How did you feel riding this course, and where did you feel your fitness met the course, or did it meet it at a good place, or did you feel lacking in a bit?
Yeah, that high end fitness, I definitely lack. My body's just not necessarily made for it, but luckily there's always opportunities to slow down and catch a breather. So, being in the wave that I had that opportunity, and they came at great moments. So I took advantage of the course. I think it really allowed me to do just whatever I wanted to do out there. Do I wish I could have gone faster? Absolutely. Maybe I could train for it differently. Yeah. But I feel like I ran the heart rate a little higher than I had anticipated for the 2 hours, and I was very happy with how my body did for that race. So.
I think there's like a specific type of training you need to do for it. And I was blown away by some of the people I know and how fast they were on the course, and early wave or not, like you still have to push to get those times. Whether you are on an early wave, you still have to ride really hard to get those quick times. Man, some people, I just was blown away. And I think, maybe there is like a specific kind of training you need to think about, maybe a few months before Iceman. It was tough when this year, a month before Iceman was Barry-Roubaix, which we did the 100-mile Barry-Roubaix, which is a little different type of race,
Yeah, that one was a little bit more my training's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So.
I think I went into this year, after Barry-Roubaix, I was just like, there's my season, and I'll enjoy Iceman, and it'll be fun, but I'm not really looking to... I just wanted to go have a good time. And after I finished, I was like, God, I should have trained hard for this. Because I wish, I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to do better, and I thought I could have done better. But I just was like super inspired. I was inspired by looking at everyone's times. I was inspired by just the course. And I think next year, man, I'm going to try to do some like specific, I don't know, short, hard training,
I think that's the good thing about it being so late in the season or kind of near the end, is it kind of gets you excited to train for the following season. It gets you really excited to just work harder and push your limits even more. Because I think everyone I've talked to has kind of said a similar thing. Like, oh man, I have to train for Iceman next year. And that's so far out, but I think it's everything you do, like starting the day after Iceman, so it's a cool feeling, and it's that kind of event. It just gets you ready. It gets you excited. So that's the cool thing about it. And yeah, I think we've all talked about doing like after you're done, we're like trying to find a time where you can be done with your season of like longer events, and then hone in and do some really fun, fast rides at the end of the season to prepare.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Mackenzie, though, you did pretty well, though, especially in your age group.
I mean, yes and no.
So you were on the podium, which is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, but it's like a bittersweet kind of podium, which is it's so many different things. Bittersweet, it's great to be on the podium, but it's a really bummer to be on the podium by yourself. The first place wasn't there, and there was no third place because my age group has a very small amount of people actually competing, which is a huge disappointment, especially at a race at this size. Yeah. So I hope that those 19 to 25-year-old women just start showing up, because it'd be really great to see more of more of that kind of person out there for sure.
19 to 25, really. Like,
Yeah.
It's a pretty bit. I was.
There were two of us.
I think
I was surprised. Like, I thought you were gonna say it was like 19 to 22 or something, like a real narrow range.
No, it was
and
like,
it was.
yeah.
they get smaller. They get
As you get
smaller
older.
as you get older.
Yeah.
I think like there's like 44 and a half, 44. No, I'm just joking. But
I was gonna say 34. So 34, I was pretty happy. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, I got 10th out of my age group. That's awesome. And then I start looking at where my time is lining up with other guys that we ride with in the area that are in the 40s and 50s age range, and my time was a few minutes below theirs, and there's like 25th, 26th, like way up. Not way up there, but higher up there, and it's like, oh, it gets really competitive as you start stacking some years on there.
oh, for sure. Which I do want to quickly, before we move on from Mackenzie's podium, I gave you the opportunity to say, yes, I got on the podium, and then you yourself said, well, there were only two people, so.
but to be fair,
I'm okay with
this
that.
is
I will
two
own
podiums
that.
in a row. So
Yeah.
I think you just drop the. You don't worry about the little details.
You podiumed
of it.
in 2019 too.
Hey, I mean, it has to be said. Somebody has to say it, right? Like, I'll own whatever I got. I'm cool with that.
And also, like, I think, yeah, like more women your age, more women, everyone, like there need to be more people
Definitely.
riding the course. Tristan, I was blown away by your time. And I think I asked you that a bunch of times too. Oh no, I told everyone that you had what was your time, Tristan?
Yeah, so had a nice time at 159, and unfortunately, Trevor was, boasting about how well I did.
I thought it was
everybody.
awesome. And wave, what wave did you start?
Wave 36. So he
Okay.
was
Wave 36, breaking 2. I was like super impressed by your
very impressive.
So I was telling everyone you had a 159 and you were quick to say
I was quick to correct to 158, but then a little bit later afterwards, my wife reminded me that I actually did finish at 159. So
yeah, like she should. Yeah,
an
put you
apology-
back in your place.
yeah, an apology is due to Trevor for I don't know how many times he
Dial it
said
down.
it, but I certainly was wrong many times as well.
Yeah.
so.
No, but I mean, honestly, like I'm super impressed by that the time, like not only being in one of the first time back in the wave, but then on a drop bar bike too.
You know what? Honestly, that was. I don't think I don't think I can say it enough that being in the position that I was in allowed me to ride exactly how I wanted to, and also that course would be awesome to double, triple, quadruple, and make an endurance gravel bike race.
Well, you see those people that do the out and backs, and they what are they out like 40 some miles?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's 30 miles to get there, but you can get back in 10 miles.
Yeah. It is an interesting, I mean, when talking times, it's not really, you're not really comparing year to year because the courses change, the conditions change, the mileage changes, but I don't know, in my mind it's always like 2 hours, and to be able to break 2 hours way in the back is I think it's special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think everyone goes. It's definitely a thing that people are like, "Oh, did you break 2 hours this year?" Like that's when it's a mudman. Everyone's like,
Did you
not
break
even
3
asking.
hours?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, 3 hours." But when it's a nice man, you're like,
Yeah.
Did you break the 2 hours or what?
Yeah. Well, the good news is it was such a nice man that I hear the next couple of years are going to be pretty rough because I experienced such a nice man for my first event. So the next couple of years, I'm sorry, ice, rain, snow.
The universe will correct itself.
Yeah,
We're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anything else? Anything that we would change or do differently, or did I miss any specific parts of this whole weekend adventure that we haven't talked about?
I guess one other thing I would say is it's really cool to have some of you guys starting behind me. I always love that in a race where either like a longer course meets up with a shorter course, or I get a chance to see somebody like Tristan came riding up behind me and I just heard his voice and I was like, hey, a voice I know. And I got
harder.
Yeah, and then he's like, come on, and then just like drops me. But I mean, it's really a cool feeling to see people out there, and even to like pass people that are wearing like a spin jersey or something. It's like an event where along the way you just find people and I think that's really cool.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. Tristan. Sebastian, did you I was staring right in your eyes and I called you Tristan. Sebastian, did you even hear anyone yelling your name on Icebreaker at the end amongst all that craziness?
It really is craziness. Like, you get there and there's just a roar. It's not even, and it doesn't matter who it is, right? I mean, I'm sure like for the guys who are out front, I mean, I can hear them in the woods, Yeah. I'm like, oh, there they are, like they're that much farther ahead. But no, you even, the guys who I was riding with, in the back, there was like, pass him, people are yelling, and yelling my name. And it's like, wow, this is, you just all of a sudden feel so euphoric to the point where all the pain, suffering just goes away for that, few seconds. 'Cause you're just there and you're there to put on a show, you want to you're like, oh, this is it. I got to give absolutely everything I got. So
the Britney Spears of cycling.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was
put on that show.
You got to put on that show. I mean, that's how I feel. And I'm sure everyone else feels the same way when they get there.
Yeah.
Any pro. I mean, it's such a, mind-boggling experience because you just have so many people yelling at you and they're so close and everyone's trying to reach over or give out handouts,
yeah.
And
there were dollars.
And people were giving out $10 bills,
man,
$5 bills.
How much did you collect?
I didn't collect any, honestly.
How much did you miss?
I missed way too much.
I collected the money for both of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, you did.
She got her race registration back plus some, so I should probably be managing her instead of myself.
True that.
But,
I won't disagree.
But yeah, I mean, that Icebreaker climb is probably the best part of Iceman.
Yeah,
it really is.
I just know that Mackenzie, what you're saying, passing people or passing by people that same jersey or that know you or that know them or whatever, it's equally as cool for us to then go out on the course and wait for our friends to come up through. And I know Mackenzie, you were on Icebreaker waiting for Sebastian, and I was a little bit further down course. So it was super, super fun to wait for the pros, but then also wait for your friends to come through too. It was pretty great. And speaking of just seeing people, I love to run into, from the Expo to Timber Ridge, a lot of people I knew from that listen to the podcast that are into that, and then a ton of people came up and just introduced yourselves or just said how much they appreciate the podcast we put out and everything. So thank you for introducing yourself to me, and it was great to meet you all. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was like a family reunion kind of deal, or I don't know, a 10-year high school reunion. I don't know, but it was amazing, and I can't wait for next year for sure.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah, definitely something to look forward to and train for. Yeah, I mean, I think Mackenzie touched on it, but I definitely, after every Iceman, I'm like, oh man, I gotta train more. It's
specifically, it's not just you can be in shape for something, but then that is its own animal.
It is.
And I think I was I realized that rudely aware.
Rude awakening,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like, holy cow, I need to, like, I think my heart rate was like Zwift numbers, just like through the roof. And yeah, anyway, but it's exciting, to see those areas where, where you can work, what you need to work on and where you can get better. So,
yeah, I mean, I to kind of add a little bit to that. I mean, I get to experience it with my dad as some other people do as well. And I think that's a unique experience. Just because my dad introduced me to the race in a way when I was still in high school. Even him after the race being like, oh, I want to work out more, I want to train more. It's really cool to see that it even motivates him, even though he's not a big racer or anything like that. That's probably the only race he does all year.
Yeah.
Which is the case for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But for that to be kind of a motivation for you to be like, through the course of the winter, maybe I'll train a little bit more than I usually do and not sit on the couch as much, because next year I know I'm going to go back and do Iceman.
Yeah.
That's a really, kind of cool perspective, I think.
There is something that I'm going to change for my training, and it's going to start as soon as we have a nice weekend, but Jameson said that he's going to give it a ride next year, so I'm going to take the, race age 6-year-old
Slush Cup?
Slush Cup, yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Nice.
So get him out there. He was excited. I didn't think he'd go for it, but he said he'll do it, so we'll see.
That's cool.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the highlight of the weekend.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure.
Hey, maybe he'll win it.
I think he stands a good chance. He's a big, strong boy, so he stands a chance.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Great job, all of you. Let's do it again next year.
I'm
Sounds
definitely
good.
going to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you to Mackenzie and Sebastian and Tristan for recapping your Iceman experiences with me. And a huge thank you to, of course, Cole Paton for taking the time and talking about his Iceman win. Next week, stay tuned. We have another special Iceman episode. Women's champ Rose Grant will join me, and I just cannot wait for that conversation. The Dirty Chain Podcast is a Michigan Midpack Media production in partnership with KOM Cycling, the source for your bike accessories and necessities. Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Dirty Chain Podcast. Email dirtychainpodcast@gmail.com. If you are enjoying this podcast, leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. Audio editing and music by myself, Trevor Gibney. Thank you all for listening to this episode and all the episodes of the Dirty Chain Podcast. And as always, keep your chain clean, but get your chain dirty. We will see you in the mid-pack.